Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world. By the way, not just authors, but publishers, editors, paginators, people who do reading groups, things like that. A big portion of our audience are, of course, those who read books, and they're trying to figure out their next book. Another big chunk of our audience is those who are writing books, and they are not finished. They can't finish. They're so close to the end, and they want to figure out how to get there. So we bring people onto the show who've done it, who've been published and have their books out there and are getting some attention. Now, our next guest is Val Galloway. Welcome, Valerie.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Excellent. By the way, before we go too far, here's Valerie's book. Here's the cover of her book, Addiction, Steal, Kill, and Destroy, John 10:10. It sounds very exciting for reasons that maybe will become clear as we go on with the interview. I've had people tied up with addiction, and I think that maybe your book could have helped them or could help them. Tell us a little bit about the book, Valerie.
Okay, Mike. Well, mine is somewhat of a sad story. I was involved with someone for 10 years. He was the love of my life, my son's father. And what happened was throughout the duration of those 10 years we were together, there were a lot of dysfunctional situations revolving around his addiction to alcohol and drugs. And so throughout those 10 years, because we had a son together, I had given him ultimatum after ultimatum, and nothing seemed to change. And I realized that I didn't want my son growing up in a household that was, revolving around drugs and alcohol. So I gave him that one final ultimatum and walked away. And so shortly within the year, Mike, he was found dead on the streets. Why? Because he lost his will to live. He lost his family, he lost his job, he lost his home, and there was nothing left to live for. And so I blame myself. I think of a coffin, I think of all the four corners of a coffin, and then when you nail it shut, I felt like I was one of those nails to his coffin. And so I was going through so much tremendous condemnation, shame, guilt, blame, responsible for his death. And so I had to find a way, Mike, to get out from that depression, that darkness, that grief. So my book is really all about who I blamed for his ultimate demise. And so my book is all about my overall experiences with Satan, because it actually goes back many years before Tony. And, and it's really talking about how Satan malevolently operates in all of our lives, oftentimes unknowingly. So, my emotions that fateful April 17, 2019, that evening, when I received that unexpected phone call, devastating phone call, I seemed to vacillate between sorrow and anger. Satan, you murderer, you son of a expletive, you finally succeeded in killing him because he was extremely depressed. And so, to me, he killed our beloved. You took him away from us. You stole his hope first. You stole his future. Then ultimately you killed his life. His life didn't have to end so abruptly. And so that's what my book's about, basically.
Do you, who should read this book?
Oh, who should read it?
Yeah.
Well, I would say those that are, going through addiction issues, those that are dealing with addicts, those that are on the verge of, becoming addicts themselves. I mean, it can touch many lives, I feel.
I was going to say maybe everybody should read it, because we all know somebody, even if you don't know it, that they're struggling with drugs and addiction. We know somebody. Could this be a warning tale as well?
Yes. Because to me, Mike, his life didn't have to end so abruptly. I feel like Satan succeeded in getting into his head, into his body, spiraling him into a deep depression, alcoholism, and drugs that eventually took him out and led to his fateful demise.
Now, did you blame yourself a little bit? It sounded in the beginning like
Oh,
you did.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because if in the beginning, it took a lot of counseling for me. But I blame myself because I felt like if I didn't walk away from that relationship, move out and start a whole brand new life, he wouldn't have gone down that depression spiral and to where he gave up. He literally gave up and he was found dead on the street.
How many years did you support him and cover for him and give him ultimatums? How many years did that go on?
I would say this, when you first meet someone and you're on your first date
Yeah.
and we're sitting there and I'm hearing things and I saw the red flags. I really did. But it was one of those things where you just wipe them all off the table because you're connecting with that person, right? And so, yeah, the red flags were there from the very beginning. I did sort of see the alcoholism, but, you always think you can change the person. So it was there from day one. But I would say 5 years into our relationship, you're dealing with the anger, you're dealing with the depression, you're dealing with, the rage that he has against the world. And then when you bring a child into the world, you realize that it's not a good mix and it's time to go if that person's not willing to do the work to change.
Tell me
And
about
that's what happened.
tell me about John 10:10. I can't even I don't even remember
Yeah.
what that is. So
Yeah. Yeah, so John 10:10. So my book is called Addiction, Steal, Kill, and Destroy. John 10:10 is a spiritual guide to overcoming addiction and loss. John 10:10 talks about how the enemy comes and, comes to steal, kill, and destroy from you. It's a biblical scripture. I just thought it was very fitting, given the nature of why I wrote the book. Mike, it's a journey that includes immense pain, perseverance, persistence, and patience. It's a journey of letting go of all, things that are in sort of, how can I explain it? When you feel imprisoned by your own grief and the darkness around how this whole thing occurred.
I got people in mind that I want to give this book to, some who need some healing and some who need some help and some who don't even recognize where they are right now. So I say this not all the time, but every once in a while to our viewers, go order this book, but don't order a copy. Order 5 copies or 10 copies because people who would appreciate this book. And I like to give books out as gifts anyway, but it sounds like a very strong guide to maybe getting past this, how to address it, how to heal, all those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I just want to touch on, I've been stalking you a little bit online. You're also a life coach.
Yeah.
Did that come about? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So my niche, Mike, is I'm an empowerment coach.
Coach.
I hold ICF, PCC professional license with Erickson Academy, which is kind of like the creme de la creme of coaching. And so I've mentored and coached people for over 23 plus years within the healthcare industry, mainly at a major HHC New York City hospital. So, I worked there for 10 years. I worked with patients. I worked with staff as well as students. I actually ran at one point a hospitality program where I would go into schools, colleges, people pursuing master's degree, bachelor's and associate degrees, and I would recruit them to come onto the hospital units with me and be of service to the inpatient. So, I worked there for 23 years. And so, my experiences helped me to train and be highly adept at guiding people towards emotional, mental, behavioral, and spiritual health.
Now, I know before we came on the air, you told me you're from New Jersey, but your accent does not match the people I know from New Jersey.
Okay. Well, okay. So I'm originally from Oxford, England. Mike, I've been living in this country now many, many years. I actually, I'm not trying to date myself here, but I came here fresh out of high school,
Wow.
and I've been here ever since. I started off in Waco, Texas.
Hmm.
I've moved around quite a bit. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in Pennsylvania. I ultimately ended up on the East Coast, and I've been here ever since. So I have dual citizenship.
Now I have I have your life coach web address up and your Coach Val 2023 Instagram up there. And if somebody visits these sites, what will they find?
Well, so if you go on my Instagram and my TikTok, what you will mostly find there is I'm a devout Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of my postings there are inspirational, motivational scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
I call them modern day scriptures because I'm all about helping people find their purpose. And so utilizing these scriptures is a way, of modernizing the Bible.
Mm.
So, yeah, so there you will find mostly my scriptures. And, but I'm a coach overall. And, I'm all about empowerment life coaching. I co-pilot a journey, Mike, of revelation to help people envision and activate their ultimate dreams, goals, and visions. I help uplift, I help edify people and guide and support them.
I'm more uplifted just talking to you. You've got a lot of energy, Valerie, a lot of energy.
Thank you.
I want
to
just kind of go back to your book. I know we're running out of time. I'm getting the signal, but you're fascinating. I could talk to you all day long. Where can people get the book?
Where can people get the book? So I have an interesting story, by the way. Okay. So how that book came about was through me one morning. I listened to TBN, Trinity Broadcast Network, which is a major Christian TV station. So one morning they had all these big wigs sitting around a round table, and they were talking about if you have a book, if you have a manuscript, a journal, send it in, and we'll see if it's something we could utilize, right? So in my heart, right there, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. Something in my heart, in my spirit, told me, send it in. I sent it in by 12 o'clock on my lunch hour. I was getting a call from one of their executives saying, this sounds like a very fascinating, it was a journal at the time. We think we'd like to pursue it. So long story short, what ultimately happened was I got signed with Trinity Broadcast Network. And so they're the ones that published, they're the ones that printed and promoted my book. And so I have a contract with them to this day.
That's great. I always tell people God works in many wonderful ways. You got to have your eyes and ears open and know when God's talking to you. And you watch the show, and the same day you sent in the manuscript. It's amazing, amazing story.
Yeah. So I'm in Barnes & Nobles, to answer your question, Mike. I'm in Barnes & Nobles. I was in Walmart, and what was the other one? There's 3 of them. Barnes & Nobles, Walmart, and Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Of course,
so Amazon, you can find me on Amazon.
Yeah. Now, what formats is the book in? Is it on the Kindle?
Yeah, it's Kindle or it's hardcover.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I haven't tried Kindle yet, but I'm getting ready to try, so maybe I'll start with your book.
Okay.
Valerie Galloway, you're an amazing, fascinating, energetic person who's been through something tremendous, and you're turning that into maybe helping others. And it's a very moving story and a sad story. Any last thoughts for our viewers before we have to go?
Well, again, I'm a coach. You can find me at Val Galloway, lifecoach.com. It's just been a pleasure being on your show today. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. And hopefully, people will find me in these bookstores or on Amazon.
Last question. I have a QR code here. Is that something I should put up on the screen? Will that take people to the book?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that will take you directly to my book.
I'm leaving it there, so get up close with your phone and go to the QR code, and that will take you to Valerie's book. In fact, I think I'll just close and leave it up there, if that's all right, Valerie. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope you'll come back again and again.
I will. Thank you for having me, Mike. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys.
And for our viewers, don't go anywhere because we have more authors coming up right after this.